Hello and welcome to The Blank Potato. This horror story is uploaded by Reddit user crimsonbayonet. If you want to learn more about the author, link in the description. And the title of the story is Help Us. Before we start, I would just like to invite you to please like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and click that notification bell so you won't miss any of my future uploads. Let's begin. Help Us. All things want to stay at rest eventually, finding the end point of their ceaseless moving. In science, it's known as entropy, where all things will find their final resting point. The universe you see and think is all tied to this idea of entropy. Recently, I have been studying a new particle. I haven't given it a name yet. However, it showed potential for being the first unmoving object. To help, all things are constantly moving, even at a subatomic level, and delving into string theory, all things are made of vibrating strings. However, this particle wasn't moving at all. It was still, and wasn't emitting any heat. I tried warming the subatomic particle up, but all the heat it absorbed died out, and it continued to not move. However, it grew in mass slightly. It was as if I was feeding it and the energy was being destroyed. But that should be impossible via the law of thermodynamics, right? Well, let me explain what we humans find impossible is only impossible until we discover a way. I tried different methods of heating or cooling the particle, but it seemed to be even colder than 0 Kelvin, which also would be impossible. It seemed like magic. But any sufficient technology would appear to be magic. Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Arthur C. Clarke. I'm not writing this to be scientific or to show an amazing discovery. It's the opposite. I am terrified that this thing exists in our universe, a particle that gets larger and ignores the law of thermodynamics. Let me explain why. So when I was conducting more tests, I was feeling weak at this point. The particle, which was subatomic, was now the size of a carbon-16 atom. It kept growing, and as it grew, I got weaker and weaker. I thought it would just be because my sleep schedule is non-existent because of this thing. So I decided to go to bed and take a nap. This will pass, I'm sure. When I awoke, I was feeling more tired and had a massive migraine. After taking some headache medicine, I got myself some coffee and walked to the lab. To my horror, the entire table was gone. It was as if this thing absorbed it and broke it all down. In place of my table, which I experimented on, it was a small child staring into the wall and covered in a blanket. I didn't know how to act, as if this was all too much. I just walked back into the foyer and locked the door. I sat down breathing heavily, as this didn't feel like a normal child, but more like an empty creature. Something that was born from nothing, a blank canvas to grow. It wasn't malicious or scary, it was just itself. Moments later, after calming down, the child knocked on the door, asking to be let out. What are you? I shouted in fear. I am nothing. I am entropy. You are my father. Please help me. I never had a child, let alone even dated a female. I stood up and cautiously opened the door. My hands were shaking as I creaked it open, and the child was staring at me. It had no face or features. It was like a mannequin or graphic art of a human. It was pure white from head to toe and was living and breathing. It had no eyes, but I felt its gaze. It had no mouth, but I heard its voice. This blank canvas wasn't human. Please, Father, help me. The thing reached out and grabbed my hand. However, I pulled back in pain. I backed away holding my wrist and ran out the door. I quickly got into my car and drove a state away. I am now in a motel in the middle of Kansas, and I'm the only resident here. The worst part was when the thing touched my hand, it turned my hand pure white. No skin, scars, or feelings, just a quick jolt of pain. I can still move it, but I don't feel pain or bleed. Inside a motel, I stabbed my hand over and over, chopping off bits and pieces. But with every bit I removed, it grew back and seemed to spread. My whole arm is currently all white. I want to sleep, but the child is outside my window and is staring at me. I won't last much longer. Perhaps this is what happens when you discover something you shouldn't have. I fear I awoke up a sleeping giant and doomed us all. If you see a blank-faced child, run. Don't look back and don't help it. It's not your child. It's my child. Please, help me. I need help. I can't feel the pain. I need help. Help me. Help me. Help me. Help us. If you enjoyed that story, feel free to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Check out these videos if you want more horror stories like this. And as usual, I'll see you again next time.